What's going on, guys? Me, Alex Wong. Welcome back to another video. Today, we're going to be crafting the golden cold email script that you need in 2026. And if you literally just combine this with a great offer and watch a couple of my upcoming videos, you can literally be printing thousands of dollars via cold outbound in a month. All right, so today, just so you understand how we're going to do this, is we're going to break down exactly what you need to build out a cold email script. Today, we're not really going to be talking about like the golden way to go, but we're going to be talking about the fundamentals and basically everything you need to succeed. All right, so without further ado, let's get right into the video. So the very first thing, hopping into this, guys, is actually understanding the fundamental of a cold email. And I want to give you guys just a little bit of numbers as context so you understand as you go through this process. Now, a lot of people come to me and say they've been burned by agencies before, or they've ran outreach and it hasn't succeeded in, X, Y, and Z scenario. But the main philosophy here is, well, what is the cause for that? Well, why doesn't it work? And the channel very clearly works. I've been using cold email for over 4 or 5 years now. I've generated hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenue for myself and my clients at my agency, Dulce, and it's not going anywhere anytime soon. So how are people doing it? What's really going on behind the scenes? Enough with the surface level stuff. Let's get down to the nitty gritty. So the very first thing is just to understand, right? That's step one. We want to understand the landscape of cold email. Now, really what I mean by that is a couple things, right? So factor number one, right? Factor number one is going to be talking about who it is that gets it. So we're going to use one mock example for this, but let's talk about local businesses, okay? If you guys are familiar with a platform called Clutch.co. Clutch.co is a database / directory type of source for marketing agencies, right? So if you need to find a marketing agency to work with, you come to here. Now, the biggest thing is, just to give you reference numbers, is there's about 120,000 digital marketing agencies listed on that platform. Out of 120,000, I would probably say about 50%. All right, let's keep it even on the lower end. Let's say 35% of that 125,000 are running cold outreach. So 35% being 42,000 agencies running cold outreach. Now, give you guys a little bit of reference. If about 35%, I'm talking about cold email specifically. Let's say they're sending 500 emails a day, which is a very low number. So 500 emails a day ends up turning into 210 million emails per day. And out of those 42,000 agencies, right, I would take a good solid guess and say about 50%. All right, so 50% of those agencies target local businesses. So roughly, let's say 105 million emails going out. Now, why am I telling you all this? The reason why I'm telling you all this is specifically because of the point where your market is receiving an ungodly amount of emails. If you go on Apollo, and I'll see if I can pull up a list here. If I go to Apollo, and let's say I want to scrape every roofer in the world, okay? And Apollo has very limiting data, as you know, because it's LinkedIn, right? These guys aren't even going to be on LinkedIn, but let's just say that you go there to get your list, because it's like the most known source. So you come to Apollo, right, and you pull out a list of, out of this list, you have 64,000 people. Now, this is any size, anywhere, so let's just assume you're talking about United States, okay? That's 36,000, so almost already in half, which is number one, all right? And this is all type of job titles. Now, out of this, you'd probably only want a good batch of the bunch being like, I would say 5 to 75 employees. Let's call that like a good solid benchmark. That's 20.6 thousand. So you're left with 20.6 thousand roofing contacts just from Apollo, okay? Now, out of those contacts, right, you are most likely going to have about 65% of them be verified, okay? So that brings you to about 13,390 who are getting 105 million emails. So 105 million emails going to 13,390 people means that each one of these people are roughly receiving like 7.8k emails. Now, it's not like exactly those numbers, right? Because that sounds like a little ridiculous. But the point that I want to put into your head, and the way I'm going to lay this out to you, is that these people are receiving a lot of emails. So how do you stand out from the crowd? How you stand out from the crowd is coming up with a unique offer. Now, when you're crafting a cold email, what actually needs to happen? We're not talking about the list building, but the idea is just so you understand, in this very rough example, is that these guys are shredding a ton of emails. They're getting a ton of emails, everything's in spam, they're all ignoring it. So how are you going to stand out? We need a unique offer. Now, how do you create an offer, Alex? How do you create a cold outbound offer? A cold outbound offer needs to solve three things. One, it has to explain to somebody what the result looks like. All right, so what does working with you actually do? I have some SEO guys that I work with. I'm just like, what's the tangible result at the end of the day? Because I guess number one on Google, or they want more traffic, they want more ranking, but what do they really want? They want more leads, they want more money, they want more business, right? So what is the result you provide? Now, what are some different examples of those results? Okay, you have three types of results. Okay, and you're going to see how this is all going to play into our template in just a moment. Number one, you have money. This is getting more money, getting more business, something of that nature. Number two is time, right? Getting more hours, automating processes, or removing friction, saying like, hey, what if I could save you a ton of time here? And number three is status. And this is very underrated in my opinion. You know, not a lot of people talk about status very often. But status is something where you want to be in X, Y, and Z position. So a lot of these offers you see are used for like podcasts type of thing, right? What if, you know, a ton of people just knew you from being on a podcast? Or what if, for content creators, what if you position it as, what if people got on a call and just like knew who you were, right? So a couple different things. But the idea is, what is the result that you provide? And you ideally want to have one of these three. The next thing is your proof, aka the why should I trust you? Because what did I say before? There's so many emails going out in this landscape. You need some type of way to promote that they should trust you. Now, here's the biggest issue with this in 2026. The biggest issue being that these individuals aren't so trusting to case study type events, right? So if I help you generate, you know, $30 million for your business through cold outreach, and I tell that to another agency, they just think it's all this, it's all noise. It doesn't mean anything to them. So what are the different examples? Example one is going to be your traditional case studies, let's just say. This is your, I helped XYZ company get X result, right? So you achieve this outcome for someone similar to them, right? That's one example. The next thing is going to be third-party proof. Third-party proof is referencing something such as a highly credible individual found it. So something we've been running in our campaign to testing is like, Google says that 79% of buyers for local businesses can call the first business that pops up for your industry, meaning roofer near me or landscaper near me, things like that. And the last one is your self-knowledge. That's your other social proof aspect. So your self-knowledge is the I know about you, right? I know specifically about your business, or you demonstrate this through like Clay, AI, something of that nature to say like, I know specifically you guys go through this, or I know this, and this is how I elaborate on that. So these are a couple of your different factors. Now, creating a unique offer, you want to have these factors. When you understand your offer, it's about now having someone understand what you do, having someone trust you, and also relating to the fact that they never heard of you before. So you want to solve those three things. And your offer comes up with how you stand out. So a couple examples of an offer is free work. And I always go back to this because it's the easiest foot in the door metric in the world. Can I give you 1,000 free leads, right? We've talked about that over and over. Could we build free ad creators for you? Could we launch a free reactivation campaign for you? Could we launch a free programmatic campaign for you? Can I build you a list of influencers who best fit your market? So there's a couple different ways you could go about it, but this is ideally that format that you want. Something that, again, differentiates you from someone else. Because you could say, no problem, saying, hey, John, I noticed you guys were running 24 creatives on creatives with Facebook ads. Are those pulling in qualified leads or mostly tire kickers? We've helped Johnson and Johnson Roofing generates 62 new leads with this creative, with this something unique. Come up with a unique name, like this scroll stopping creative angle we've been testing, and I think it would be a good fit for you, seeing you're not running it. You're not running this style. Mind if I send more info? Okay, so out of your just raw brainstorm copy there, right? You take a look at this and you have your self-knowledge, your proof. I notice you guys are running 24 creatives. Are those pulling in your poke the bear question? So I notice you're investing in this aspect. Here's your poke the bear question. Here's your proof and an easy call to action. So just to show you how we're going to bridge this is cold email, let's call it template. All right. So the very first thing is you want to have investment piece, as I like to call it. So what is your I noticed? And you don't have to exactly say like I noticed or I saw, because a lot of people always use that. But you want to come up with something that is, I noticed you guys are investing somewhere. And the reason why we do this is because it's a lot easier to convince and understand that information. Like if I walk up to a roofer, right, and they're not running ads, it's a lot harder to then sell them on the idea of ads compared to someone who already is and understands the value. So come up to what are they investing in. 2 is you want your knowledge statement / poke the bear. So your knowledge statement / poke the bear means effectively you want to identify something that you're going to have them relate to of the same level or of greater of knowledge to their industry or field. So specifically, I noticed you guys were doing this or investing and working on this. It doesn't need to be that saying like, hey, I checked out your site and noticed you guys post roughly around 10 blogs per month. Do you have any issue with repurposing that content to other platforms like Reddit? Reddit, it leads statistically in search engines for specifically this type of industry. Could I show you what that repurpose system would look like? Just for an example purpose. But once again, I noticed you guys are currently doing this. This is something I'm going to say that makes you feel like I understand you and your business to the same level or better than you do. Next thing is call out the pain. What are they struggling from? And the biggest mistake people make is like, all right, if you load up a 10,000 person cold email campaign and you launch campaigns and let's say 5,000 of them say they're not interested. A lot of people see that as a fail, but the issue being with that is, in the grand scheme of things, if you're charging like 5K a month and you have 1,000 people and you close 10 clients, it's 50K a month right there. Like you don't need everybody in the world to work with you, but you want to understand who is that small subset who has that pain. And I think this is where the biggest mistake people make is they worry about so much of this volume. And volume is very important, don't get me wrong. But the point that I'm trying to make is that you come to a crossroad where you want to make sure that you are also focusing on making it direct and readable. Because if it gets sent to everybody, then it's not really meant for a specific person. And when you could call it this pain, it helps relate a lot better. So I'll give you a perfect example. One of my clients helps home and garden brands scale and average 100K months with Shopify who sell high ticket products. So 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 all the way up. So this could be greenhouses, fire pits, saunas, things of that nature. And we call that specifically the biggest pain point. Say, hey, I was taking a look at your product page and I noticed a couple signs where these insert product type of buyers begin to hesitate knowing that it's $1,000 to $8,000 plus in all. Can I shoot over a short video I actually just recorded going over your site showing where you can improve these things? That's literally our game-winning copy, and that generated over 120 positive replies in a month. All right, and it's simple. Okay, all I used Clay for was just to pull what is a high-ticket product on their site. That's it. I don't like to get too fancy with it anymore because I could tell you guys something that your personalization now becomes within your list, meaning that I don't go crazy with Clay anymore. Honestly, I stepped down a lot of our Clay plans I actually stepped it down to the free plan. We're not really using Clay because the thing is we're focusing so heavily on number 3 that you see bolded right now is that you have to have a unique offer. Because if you're going to craft up a message that's like, I noticed you guys at roofing services, we helped XYZ roofing company get Y results. Do you think that this would be worth the chat? That's not going to go anywhere. And if you can't understand what makes you different from everybody else, then it's not going to work, right? So how do you actually come up with that? You just have to quickly understand, like, who is the specific person that you are reaching out to, right? So within your offer, who's the specific person, right? What is their pain? What issue are they going through? And how do you solve it? Okay? What is your unique way to solve it? You have these 3 questions dialed in, as well as this information to accompany it, and then you could understand your entire area from what is their pain. Okay? How do you solve it? What version of free can you do for them to solve it? And you don't need, the free is not the only angle, right? You can come up with unique things like, hey, I have a newsletter with 300,000 subscribers who are all interested in software and tech, and I notice you guys have a software that does X, Y, and Z. Would love to get you a feature on there. No hesitate or no commitment or payment, but I want you to see how it works, right? Something of that nature. Or if I could put your company in front of 3,000 people subscribed on my AI newsletter, would that be worth a chat? Very short, very straight to the point, but it's specific, and it solves that problem, which is getting that exposure that they need, and it becomes a very no-brainer offer. So you need to begin to package it in a fashion that's unlike what people see. That's why I very rarely ever say that I do cold email or outreach. I specifically say AI omnichannel outreach. People are always curious to learn what that is, but I accompany that with hey, I took a look at your site and you guys are really leaving some winnings on the table by not doing this. Can I show you how we craft an offer and send it out in a campaign? And people say yes, because if I ask them, are they interested in cold email, I'm not going to say yes. But if I position it as, okay, I want to show you how you could get great success with this system, and with my expertise, you can get there, but let me show you how that is. And it's not just the fact that I'm trying to sell them, it's that I'm warming them up to understanding that 1, this pain is more serious than they think, and then 2, raising their awareness to my offer. And when I've come off with such a point of helping without asking for anything in return, the law of reciprocity is going to kick in and be like, great, let's chit chat, right? So this is why I can launch a campaign for Dulcie at any time, anywhere, and just generate results, right? And there's so many different ways to spice it up. I used to do 1,000 free leads for so long, and I started getting creative with it, testing what different angles I could try. And this is where I came up recently now with new clients, we've taken lists of interested leads that they've had before, ran a campaign sending to them saying, hey, we actually talked previously in the past about this. We have this cool, unique thing that has changed since then. Would you still be open to revisiting that conversation? And it's dummy killing it right now. I mean, we have 10, 20, 30 meetings just being booked from old people that you just haven't talked to, and it's a very simple, easy campaign. It's low cost and low time. You need to find something for free that's valuable, that's low cost, low time, that you can fulfill, and it's a great way to build a unique offer. And again, I could sit here and go on and on with examples, but the main purpose is that you got to come up with some type of factor of a unique offer. And I'm actually thinking about it more and more. I'll probably make a video on how to create a real in-depth offer based on multiple different clients and examples. But the point being is that, again, these people aren't going to give you the light of their day, right? Even though you may have the greatest offer in the world, okay? One of my clients had an offer where you didn't pay anything, all right? We just put you in these campaigns that gets your brand exposed to credit card discounts and things like that through your mobile banking app. It doesn't cost anything, and the only thing they pay for is when they actually get a sale. But people still weren't intrigued with that. You know why? Because it's just a way that the community, or not the community, the audience has so ingested these type of offers over and over. It's think about loans. How many emails you get for loans? I've had hundreds of emails a day asking me for funding, for quick money, for selling my business. A ton of it. So being able to stand out is just what you got to do. If you're in that space, right? Can you guarantee funding in a certain time frame, right? Whatever the case is. Are you a no credit pull, type of business? So many different ways you can go about it, but a little bit of it's uncomfortable. That's true, but listen, it's what you got to do to stand out nowadays. Because if you're just like everybody else, I mean, if I asked you what do you sell, what would be your answer to that question? And just really answer it and think about, do I sound like everybody else? Okay, the last portion here is easy call to action to solve the problem. So, like I said before, right? I noticed you guys on Clutch, let's just say. So I noticed you're investing on getting awareness for your business and you're paying for spots. When was the last time you've reached out to previous customers? I could launch a reactivation campaign for you, targeting those guys, and just get you a couple quick meetings for free. Just let me know if that'd be of interest to you. Just like that. So you do understand the way that I'm formatting this? As you go through, it's, hey, this is something that shows that I did my research. And not I saw your LinkedIn post, or I saw you mention something in a podcast. You know what I mean? What is actually valuable to what you're doing, right? And then what is that knowledge statement? What can I say to make them feel like, all right, they understand me or know me to the same level or better than I do? And then just call out that pain that they're going through. And the thing is, you need to understand something. Not everybody's going to have that pain. I've had hundreds of replies of people telling me that, we actually have more business than we can handle. God bless you. That's fine. You know what I mean? Best of luck. It's just what the game is. And each no gets you closer to yes. And you gotta roll with the punches. And then you choose to solve that pain for them for free. There's no reason why they'll say yes. Now, I'm not saying you deliver every single time without getting on a meeting and this, and that, but at least just like get them to say yes, conversate with them, nurture them, and then when they're ready to proceed inside of the funnel, you qualify them, make sure they're qualified, and then you proceed with the said free asset, right? And this is what's just is still allowing myself and my clients to generate incredible results, and it's clear night and day. Those who have a unique offer and can stand out, night and day difference on results. Okay, so that's really all I had. I know this wasn't anything concrete specific, but I'm not giving you like use this template to run and win, because I could for sure, but by the time I expose that, it's going to be done, and it won't work. And we always are stuck in this philosophy of just using templates or trying to see what the best script. There's no best script. Okay, be yourself. I know it's cliche and like, what are you talking about? But you have to be unique, really. I could tell an AI written email from. I stopped using AI written emails. I know it's crazy. It's probably slower, but the thing is, it's been unique, and it's been what allows me to still instill my creativity of what I originally started. I started this business when ChatGPT wasn't a thing, so it allows me to instill my creativity, and then people can easily now see that, like, oh wow, this is written different, and they understand what they're saying and doing. Worst case scenario, I just learn a little bit more. And that's what you need to position it as. And when they're interested, gauge of how aware they are of the problem and how aware they are of the solutions, and continue to work and warm them up to learning more at a call. And even when you get on a call, you then want to continue to warm them through your content, through your case studies, things like that. And this is where like those nice HTML emails come into play, but I don't want to get too off the train here. So that's it for today's video. I just wanted to say that when you are crafting together a unique offer and you want to stand out from the rest of your competition, you got to be very clear on what you provide to the market, right? Because if nobody wants what you're selling, you're not going to do very well. Then the why should I trust you? Your cold email does two very important things. All it is, it creates curiosity, and you have to earn their trust. Those are the two things that you need. And people spend so much time going back and forth, overcomplicating it. Personalization. All these courses going back and forth, talking AI for hours. But really, your bread and butter is just like, lock yourself in a dark room. Put some music on, some nice jazz. I like the restaurant jazz. And just understand, like, why would I actually say yes to this? What is something that can make me unique and stand out? That follows the aspect I said is low cost and easy to fulfill and solves the problem. Solves a pain that they're going through, okay? And then you fit into this cold email template right here, and I guarantee you'll have meetings. So with that being said, that's all I have for today's video. If you guys are actually looking to learn a little bit more about what specifically I go through when I want to build an offer and build out a script and all this and that, I think you would find a lot of benefit inside of our platform, Agency Ignition. If you aren't familiar with Agency Ignition it's a tool and community for agency owners who are looking to scale and grow with AI-powered outbound. So it's not just a BS course type of thing. You have access to tools like Apollo Scraper. You can do copywriting with cold emails, company name formatters, Google My Business Scraper. You can scrape store leads, and all of these tools for a fraction. This costs a fraction of what one of these tools costs. And you also get access to a ton of discounts that we have partnerships with, such as Cheap Inboxes, RevReply, HeyReach, A-Lead, SendSpark, Scaling Studio, go on and on, right? You get all those by just joining. And also video material in case you're curious. But listen, for 7-day trial, give it a shot. If you hate it, or even if you buy it and you're like, I still hate this, you suck, I'll give you a refund. I don't really care, okay? But give it a shot, all right? You never know what you're missing. That being said, take care.